And so we'll run a query. We do that by clicking this little icon here. And we can see it's selected everybody that I have in my database, which is, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 6 people in my database, and they're all there. So if I want to start giving it criteria so that I can select only certain people, well, before we do that, let's take a look at the SQL query or the SQL code that was generated. And to do that, you click this little switch design icon, which has the rectangle and the triangle underneath it. If you click that, you'll see it says select household.lastname, person.lastname, and of course that's the table name followed by the field name, household.sendcard, person.firstname, person.dateofbirth, person.birthmonth, person.sendcard from person household. So it's selecting those fields from the person and household table. Where, and where tells it how to do it. Where person.householdID equals household.householdID. That tells it how to join the two tables together. It uses the relationship. It uses the primary and foreign keys. If I get rid of that where clause, and I'm going to do that in a moment because I can edit this SQL, we're going to see that I no longer have 6 people, or what did I have? I have 7 people here, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I have 6 people. I'm going to end up with a lot more people, even though there are no more people in my database. So I'll delete that, rerun the query, and notice my database appears to be much larger. That's because it now joined every record in the person table with every record in the household table. And since I had 2 records in the household table, what it essentially did was it doubled the size of the person table. We can see that Deborah Jones shows up in the Jones household, but Deborah Jones also shows up in the Smith household. So that where clause gets to be pretty important. I'm going to X out of this, and no, I don't want to save it. We just did that for fun. And we'll create a new query in design view. And close that window. And we'll pick our field names again. Last name, I'll put the next, that's household.lastname. And now we'll do person.lastname. And let's run that query, see what it does if all we have is the 2 last names. Okay, so we end up with our 5 household Smiths, or our 1 Smith household with 5 people in it, and our Jones household with 2. And take a look at our SQL query, and you can see it is now doing the join properly. And back to design view, and we'll pick a few more fields and then do some selection on the criterion. We'll do household.sendcard, person.firstname. We already have person.lastname, so we won't do that one again. Person.sendcard and person.birthmonth. Now suppose, well, let's run the query first to make sure everything's working right. And we haven't put any criterion in, so all of our people show up. Criterion, of course, limits the number of people. What it's going to do is filter out the people that you don't want so you're not overwhelmed with data. Not a big problem when you have 6 people in your database, but if you've got 300 and you want to pull out all the people who have a birthday coming up, you want to be able to filter out all the ones who don't. So let's see, I've got 3 people with a birth month of 1. So let's go over to the birth month column here and go down to the criterion row, and where those two intersect, I'm going to click there and put in an equals 1 and run that query. And what we should see is just these 3 people show up. Jim and Steve Smith and Joe Jackson. And that's exactly what happened. Jim and Steve Smith showed up and Joe Jackson. But I don't want them all to show up because I don't send Steve and Joe cards for their birthday. I send their households cards at Christmas, but for the people during their birthday, I don't send them cards. So I don't really want them in it. So I'm going to go over to the send card field for person. Now notice I have 2 send card fields. This one was the household send card field. That one was the person send card field. I'm going to go over here and say is not empty. And this didn't work for us in class the other day, but we'll see if it's going to work for us now. And type that all in caps. Say is not empty. And this time it's working. And so what we end up with is 1 person in the month of January that we want to send a birthday card, and that's Jim Smith. If I remove the birth month criterion, I should end up with all the people that I want to send birthday cards to. And we can see I end up with 4 people that I want to send birthday cards to in my query. Just to check my data to make sure that this is all working right, I'm going to delete that and run the query again. And I can see, yes, there were 4 people. Well, I ran the query with no criterion just so I could look at all the data. I can see that there are indeed 4 people I want to send cards to. So that worked. And it dawns on me that maybe there's some difference between this machine that I'm using and the netbook machine I used in class, because the database is the same, the software is exactly the same. So there's some reason it seems to work on this machine and not that one. I don't know why. Okay, another thing we can run criterion on is strings. These the names, for example. Suppose I want to pick up everyone who has a lowercase s in their last name. I can go over here to the person.lastname field and in criterion say like star s star and run that query. And what do I end up with? I end up with 1 Jackson and 2 Jones from the person.lastname. Now if I want to look at the SQL for that, I can click on my SQL icon here and see how it looks much like the SQL from the other ones, but there's a new clause at the end where it says like single quote percent s percent single quote. It put my string in quotes and it changed the asterisks or the stars over to percent signs because that's what SQL wants. I can put an equal sign here and then Jones and single quotes. Begin it with single quote, end it with single quote, and run that, and I have 2 Joneses, Fred and Deborah. Okay, that is all you need to do for your homework for today. Play around with the queries a little more. Don't just do the things I did. Have some fun with it. Think of the things that you might use the database for and run some queries based on that. And now, if you want to save, if you did a query you want to save, by the way, you click the save icon. It'll ask you what you want to name the query. Go ahead and name it, and then you can use that query over and over again.